Good evening. The Who's today in Sydney were on at Warwick Farm. The track was good. The rail was 5 metres out from the thousand to the post. That included a 1400-metre shoot, and it was 3 metres from the post around to the, I suppose, the course proper at the thousand. It didn't make any difference. The wind was out of the southeast. Nice, good breeze all day. Didn't have any effect on any results. And well, the replay channels at Warwick Farm, naturally I'll be looking at this meeting again regardless. But the replay channels at Warwick Farm, if they don't work, they're way up high. They've got them in a terrible position. You've got to more or less have binoculars to look at them. So I haven't, I'll have to turn this meeting inside out on Friday morning. But it was easy to see what happened in the first race. This favourite Neudart, it trotted in, it won by 5 lengths. We bet on the screen they said there was 107.7. In the marketplace there was a neat 100. You wouldn't see it, but there was plenty of even. There was evens on the fence, evens in the outer, given about this favourite. Plenty of 10 to 9 on, plenty of $1.95. They kill you for $1.70 75 at the finish. I joined in at $1.80 and did a squillion on it. It trotted in. And how do we get to the neat 100? Oh, well, as I say, we gave evens it. $8 about for Dubai, $8.50 about Sea Warrior, $11 Ramu River. Rhymes, one stage Rhymes, which slipped over in the tie-up stalls, past fit to run. It was $7 into about $6 hard to get, but it started $7.50, 200, 150 and 40, the bottom one. No good. The favourite trotted in, and the captains got off to a bad start. The second race, now it didn't help here. Not only did the Avery, the horse that won the race finish up starting Avery, and it won me 1 3/4 lengths. The first starter, Mademoiselle, trained by Waller and ridden by Huey Horseman Bowman. It got a charm run in behind the lead, but not only did the favourite win, on the screen there was 97.9. We only gave 93 in the marketplace. The top weight here, Rockford, didn't have a price, trained by Gay. It went up $2.30 and got out to $3.50 begging. $3.60, you couldn't give it away. Didn't have a price. The next one, a Hot Albert, stablemate to the winner and Avery. It was $21 into $10, Hot Albert, very well backed. And there was a bit of a nibble around for number 6, Straticus. It was $12 into about $10, and all of the others got out in the market except the favourite. It went up safely at a 3. The winner went up safely at $3. Second favourite got out to as much as $3.50 given in the outer, $3.20 and $3.30 on the fence, but it only started $2.60, very hard to get. Was given a good ride by Huey. He sat from barrier 2, third on the fence, and got a split turning for home, balanced up, hung out on him slightly, and beat the opening favourite Rockford by 1 3/4 lengths. I'm not too sure, but I think it could have been a bit stiff. The third horse, Straticus. I'll have to have a closer look. As I say, the replay channels there are hopeless. One race I stood there for 5 minutes after the race waiting for the replay to come up, and it didn't even come up. Race 3, they said there was 105.2 on the screen, but only 102 in the marketplace. And this was a big result for the captains. I'm talking about in top gear. I think, well, it obviously came from well back in the field. There was plenty of pace on up in front. Trying to cross them from a wide alley, I want to say a wide alley, from barrier 8 was Grey Drama, 3 wide outside the Avery, Shamika's Choice, and on the fence holding the pair out was Watch the Magic, ridden by Miss J. Duggan. It stuck on pretty well. So did the favourite, and unfortunately the favourite bled. So we can forgive it for its performance. It was extremely well backed. We put it up $1.60, got to $1.75, but it was poleaxed in the betting, and they laid your twos on for whatever you wanted, and it started $1.45. And as I say, it was up near the lead when the pace was on all the way, but unfortunately it bled. Finish up, it ran third. The margins were 0.4, 0.9, and the fourth horse, Watch the Magic, was only 1.1 lengths away in that position. And as I say, it came from well back, the winner in Top Gear, and it was slightly held up apparently in the run. And Tygon also got a bit of a check in the run. It came from back in the field as well, and it ran second. That's about all you can say there. We'll never know how the favourite would have gone if it wouldn't have bled. Race 4, they said there was 106.1 on the screen, and there was only 101 in the marketplace. And this winner was extremely well backed. There were runners in this race that didn't have a price really. The winner, talking about Platinum Jack, was ridden by Bowman again, Huey Horseman. He settled down, wasn't tailed off today, and was much closer than it generally is. Whether Huey was able to make it move a little bit better early on in the race, we don't know. Obviously, he might have. Anyway, it settled down in second last position, but they didn't spread right out here. Leading in the race was Dan's a King, and it was a false favourite. It went up $3.20, got out to $3.30, taken at one stage, back into $3.20, but started $3.60 begging. I couldn't lay it at the death. And similar to the opening second favourite, Retort Courteous, who was now going for a spell after today, the rider said she thought Miss J. Duggan that had come to its end of his preparation, pulled up a speedy cuts, and I was $5.50 when they jumped, and couldn't lay it at the finish. You could lay it at one stage for $5, whatever you wanted, but as I say, it got back out the market to start $5.50 on my board. Number 2 was extremely hard to lay, Like a Star, although it might have been back even at one stage, but it did start $11. Continental Flyer was back from 9 into $7.50 at one stage, back out to $8.50. And the others, there was a little bit of money around for Line Dance, from $12 into $10. Shen Long, extremely well backed, opened up $11, got out to $12, and he started 13 to 2, $7.50. Bottom 3 didn't have prices, and the winner, as I say, Platinum Jack, it was extremely well backed, $14 given, and it was a firm sort of 10 or hard to get $11 chance, more a $10 chance when they jumped. And as I say again, it settled well back in the field, and it was able to round them up. They're coming down the outside, getting a good run. Just in behind the pace was Line Dance from Barrier 1, ridden by Killer Cat. It ran second, but the winner was a bit too strong for it. And running third in the race was Like a Star, who also raced handy in about fourth position. It plugged away fairly well as well. Retort Courteous, it settled midfield, and it went fairly ordinary. They're a team of trotters, and the winner put its best foot forward today to get home. The fifth race, they said there was 110.5 on the screen, and there were positive figures in the ring, in the marketplace, 104%. Where was the difference here? Well, I can maybe number 1. Well, I was $16 when they jumped my highlight. It didn't have a price. It was only returned for best luck $14. And here's another one, Misdiagnosis. Well, it was $18 begging. I think the best luck might have only been 14. And what else was there? Well, Private Label. It was only returned $13 best luck, but it was $15 or $16 Private Label. This favourite, I got plenty of section out of it at $2.80 at one stage, and it opened up $3 and was $3 into $2.60. Got back out to $2.80. Started $3 on my board, and anybody who was on it, even at the furlong pole, I think you were just sort of saying, well, I can't win, but it's coming, but I'm not going to get there. But it did arrive, ridden by James McDonald. And I think one of the reasons it did arrive is there was a very fast pace set in this race by the very well backed Trapunto. $10 it went up, $9 got out to 10, and it only started $6, very hard to get. Laid some good section against it, and as I say, jumping from barrier 10, the outside alley, instead of being trapped wide, clever Karen McAvoy went forward on it, and when he got there, he rolled along and set a good solid pace. Now, this obviously helped Words get around. If he doesn't lead Trapunto, and there's not the fast pace that finished up happening, this favourite wouldn't have got home, but it did. When they hit the line, there was only 2.7 lengths between between 9 of them, and it was tailed off Zeus, who is a very highly strung horse, and everything's got to go right for it to run a good race, which didn't happen today. There were a few excuses for it, but this favourite was off the bit at the 600 metre mark in more or less last position, being hard ridden, and it hooked off heels and came right down the outside, the widest runner, and grabbed them on the line. He grabbed a Private Label, who came from third last, and when going through the middle of runners, was slightly held up on the turn and then slightly held up again after that, losing a bit of momentum. Maybe if it wouldn't have lost the momentum, it might have won by 0.2 of a length. But those who took the short odds about the favourite, Word Gets Around, were cooing like doves at the finish, because it finished up getting the chocolates for them. I think you run the race over again and you say, do you want $2.80? They would offer you $3, which of course we wouldn't take, but that's what happens. They got the biscuits and we had to pay. It was slightly held up. Sandrio, it came from well back. Well, looking at it now, the first, second and third runners, this will tell you how most probably, not fast, they didn't go 100 mile an hour, but how the pace was on all the way. First, second and third in this race, they did come from the last three positions from the 600 metre mark, and so that tells a bit of a story. Race 6, they said there was 107.8 on the screen, but only a neat 100 in the marketplace. And where I can see is the difference most probably is, well, the winner for a start, Bermuda Blue, they bet a pony about it. They bet $26. They bet $26 about number 1 Timely Kiss. Now you wouldn't see it, but Segu, the favourite, who finished up with it got beat 15.1 lengths. It sat midfield. It pulled up with a heart arrhythmia, so we can forgive it its run. $4 given about it, and the next runner, Forever Crazy, you wouldn't see it, but $5.50 was given about it. $4.80 the best luck. Now they only returned at $3.80. I was $4.40 at least when they jumped. There's a little bit of difference there, $4.40 to $3.80 in the SP. Pillow Talk was well back from $8 into $6. Had it finish up coming down the outside from about third last position, and just failing to catch the horse who sat outside the leaders, Bermuda Blue, from the outside alley. Thought it was over its right price, Bermuda Blue. It ran into the wind, of course, last start at Newcastle, and its run was a little bit better than it looked. And I think that might have been overlooked. And plus, its 2 previous wins weren't hopeless. The class, they were better wins than it looked. Of course, it's only a 3-year-old, Forever Crazy. and there was one other 3-year-old in the race, Lady Corlone. But Jenny Duggan gave Bermuda Blue a good ride from the outside alley. She was always handy. It led the 3-year-old for Forever Crazy, and it took the Pillow Talk to come out after it, ridden by old Blake Shin, to just fail, catching it near the line, failing by 0.2 of a length. And it was a good 2.5 lengths away back to Forever Crazy, hanging on to 3rd position. I don't think there were any hard luck stories in the race, although the unraced horse Famous, having its first start in a race today, the only runner having its first start, it missed the kick badly. It missed the kick 3. It ran at the start. It hung in the run, and so I suppose its run could be slightly overlooked as well. Then we came to the last, and they said there was 104.9 on the screen. Now, where's the difference here? I only got to about 94, 95. Now, the difference could be where? The difference could be in, well, the shooter. There was $8.50 about the shooter. It started $8. That's nothing. Inside Job, that's right. We gave $10 about it. You wouldn't have seen, of course, Bolesky, $13 was given about Bolesky. You might have been in the flux. July Opera started $31. Surprising, they only turned to 21. Number 9 Minnesota, well, it was $8 begging at the death. You wouldn't have seen it, but as much as $8.50 was given about the winner. Plenty of $7, but $8.50 have given about the winner. Middle, it was in the outside ring, but it was given for a good little bit of section. It did start $5 on my board, and I was laying at that price when they jumped. Started 4-1 favourite. Are You Sure? It was extremely well back from at $26 into $15. Hard to get at the finish. Bragger didn't have a price. It went from $7 out to 13 and started at that price 12-1. The next one I didn't have a price, although I might have got a lemon out of it at $51. Little Gulliver was 60 when they jumped on my board. The Lambo was 17 into 14, and the bottom one, Strata Lodge, was 15 into about $13. A lot less than the 104.9 they say on the screen, closer to about 94, 95. And they run this race over again, and you would get a few different results. But fortunately for favourite punters and those who the pros were the ones who jumped on board this runner. It went up only $5, but as I say, got to as much as $8.50, but only started 5, hard to get. And from barrier 2, it was always going to get a good run, and that's exactly what happened. Ridden by Killer Cat, she sat. It kicked through and led on the fence, Strata Lodge. On its outside was Minnesota, who didn't have a price, and trap 3 right wide outside the pair was Inside Job, and there was Cat smoking a pipe and cooing like a dove. She was cooing like a dove in behind the leaders. When they turned for home, she got a gap in between, I think, Minnesota and Inside Job, and she was able to hold off all the challenges down the straight to win by 0.2 of a length. Coming from back in the field was Are You Sure?, who was extremely well back, as I say, towards the end of betting, from $26 in to about 15. Hard to get. It only failed by 0.4 of a length. And flying down the outside were a couple of outsiders, numbers 1 and 2. It ran 3rd, set to go, although it was back at one stage, $17 into about 14, but got back to 18 at the death, and lot 70 was with it, number 1. Well, it would have been a skinner for the captains. It was 26-51, and running 5th in the race, being held up on the turn and not really getting clear running on the back of Strata Lodge early in the straight, being held up a bit, and then again towards from the furlong on. I'm talking about Triumphant. It had barrier 1, and it was, as I say, held up, and it was only beaten. It ran 5th, and it was only beaten 0.6 of a length. As I said, run this race over again, and you would get a few different results. Well, that's all I'd say there. Tomorrow we've got this meeting on at Gosford. It's a Gosford Cup meeting. And what about the start? It's a joke, isn't it? It says filthy TAB. The filthy TAB, they tell these race clubs what time they've got to run their races. All the jockeys, the hickey hockeys, the trainers, and the bookies, and the 11 punters who are going to be there, we all should get together and just say, look, you filthy TAB, we want to be like everybody else. We want to go to the races. We want to have like they did yesterday when it was a hot day. Start at 11 o'clock in the morning. We can get there we'll be there at 10 o'clock to work and be home at 4 o'clock like everybody else is and go to the lovely beach with the daylight saving. Filthy TAB, they want all the mugs to get there when they knock off work. They think they're in the pubs having a blue Laguna and betting on Gosford. And we've got to be up there putting the show on for them. Why don't you come up and you're bookie, the TAB's a bookie now. They're a bookie now. What about the country meetings when they go up 5 minutes before the race? They're a bookie now. Why don't you come up and play with us up in the marketplace? Filthy TAB. They are running. Everybody will tell you they're running the show. I told you they've taken over. They've taken over the filthy things. All right, that's about it. We'll see you after Gosford tomorrow. Good evening.